This is why you take jobs where they build studios for you. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Bryce Kuhn. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Monday evening. If you're watching live, we appreciate you for hanging out, talking some college football, a little schedule release, the reactions to the ACC schedule release, a new time zone. Not time zone. Well, maybe, but a new time frame slot for the ACC title game. That and more as we dive in. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe. We'll see you just in a second.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Kuhn.
Welcome in, everybody. My name is Bryce Kuhn, alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ralph Glenn Leary III.
Thank you.
How you doing, brother?
It's been a while, man. It's been a wild few months. Haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, we stopped doing a show on here since you've been gone.
So since you've been gone,
Demonetized.
yeah, there it is already immediately.
Welcome into the Crowded Booth here on a Monday evening. It is the ACC schedule release. Some things never change. That is indeed correct.
Always
there,
on you.
Zach. Never forget that. Brought to you, presented as always in 2026 by our friends over at FanDuel. We appreciate all the LSU fans tuning in earlier today for that great interview with Jackson Harris. The likes, the subscribes, numbers continuing to climb, and it is great. Will says, I can breathe for the first time. He cannot breathe.
He's got the
jungle rod,
Yeah,
so he cannot do that. Welcome in, though. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, and we also, if you're listening on those podcast platforms, let them know there as well. Ralph is going to be delivering the pick of the day tomorrow. So, Ralph, our friends over at FanDuel, each and every single episode, we're going to have a pick. So, go to College Hoops at the end of the show. You got plenty of time. No worries. At the end of the show, we're going to get your pick of the day tomorrow. But here we go. Let's rock and roll. ACC schedule release, Ralph. It's a weird time in the college football media space. Obviously, you have getting ready for this is really kind of the draft prep portion. After the national title game last Monday, you've got the draft prep. You've got all the opportunities for guys to get in front of scouts. I'll be at the Senior Bowl tomorrow and Wednesday, getting some interviews with some of the players around the country and mixing it up with some people. We'll hang out and we'll talk with some people over there, some interviews. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel for those as well. But the ACC announcing their schedule this afternoon, Ralph, and probably the biggest thing is some teams are playing 8 games, some teams are playing 9 conference games, and that is a wild phenomenon. I think it just speaks to kind of start things off here. We like the ACC, and it's fun. It's one of those things where it's chaotic. It is fun.
I like SMU.
Well, there you go. But it's one of those things where this conference is just way too big. When you have half of the teams or some of the teams playing 8 and other teams playing 9, a little too much. So I guess your thoughts on having that split, and does it create a disadvantage or an advantage? And I mean, I think it obviously does if you're not scheduling big time out of conference opponents.
I mean, yeah, of course it does. I mean, you're being forced to fill that gap, and obviously you saw Indiana this past year drop their big non-conference game against Virginia and play. I don't know who they played in that slot. Was it Old Dominion? I think
It might have been. Yeah.
It's just you're going to see teams do that more often, though. So, you might have what did NC State and Virginia play this past year in a non-conference game.
Yeah.
That's going to happen probably. Not. I don't think it's happened this year, but next year again probably, or they'll just play these lower level teams, and they don't want to. Obviously, it shows that straight schedule really doesn't matter because, in the playoff now is that Notre Dame is a free spot, apparently.
Just
that
crazy.
right there shook the entire playoff committee or playoff, going forward. Like that being a little bylaw in there, like that, like if that was a unwritten rule, and like Notre Dame would go 11-1 every year, and we were just okay with it. Like I can survive on that, but then that being a written rule is disgusting.
It's something. That's for sure. It's something.
But, you see a lot of these schools are playing. Like Alabama, Florida State's gonna play Alabama again. Georgia Tech's playing Colorado again and Tennessee this year.
Georgia Tech is playing 3 Power 4 opponents at a conference. So hats off to
and guess what? I mean, they're playing a powerhouse in state. And I'm not talking about the team in Athens.
FCS powerhouse, baby.
I'm talking about the team.
You saw Ralph. They made their way to the shelf. Okay.
Yeah. You see who got dropped down the shelf.
Sam Lord said Georgia Tech about to catch the belt.
Oh
well, look, and you go to
that team. That team's on the chair over there.
Trevor says 3 ACC teams are the only ones playing in Power 4 playing 11 FBS games. By the way, Georgia Tech is one of them. That would offset Georgia Tech being one of the teams that's only playing 8 conference games, this cycle. So to me, Georgia Tech's doing it the right way. Like if you're going to only play 8 conference games, you better have a dang good out-of-conference schedule. The Jackets certainly have that, opening up against Colorado at home.
On Thursday, right?
What'd you say?
On Thursday.
I have no idea.
It says 9-3 next to it. And since that weekend's 9-5, I'm assuming that's Thursday.
Oh, well then maybe, yeah. It sounds like it's a Thursday night game. That'll be interesting. That'll be Zach. Watch it, Zach. Watch it. Not quite.
I don't see it. Who's that?
I don't see the branding. I don't see the branding. No, but listen, in all seriousness, Georgia Tech's doing it the right way. I think kind of to that comment, if you're going to play 8 conference games, one less than everyone else, have a really good out-of-conference schedule. Georgia Tech obviously fulfills that. So that's kind of the first point that really stuck out to me about this. And then obviously, Ralph, with the ACC moving the game, right? I was there 2 years ago. The ACC has kind of competed with the Big Ten for that nighttime slot. That to me is one of the things where I understand the move to put it at 12 o'clock. Now, I haven't seen, I don't know, maybe you can look this up real quick. I haven't seen anything on the Big 12 is also moving their time slot. I don't know, because it's been the Big 12 game and then the Big 12 game and then the SEC and then the Big 10 and the ACC play at night. So I don't know what that looks like. Or am I wrong in that? The Big 12 typically played at noon.
You're right.
So is the ACC okay? Trevor says this: the Big 12 is Friday at 8 p.m. now. Then this makes a lot more sense with that move. I like that.
I see. I didn't
know that, so I apologize.
I've always hated teams that we have 2 conference championship games stacked on top of each other, because it's kind of hard. It's hard to flip back and forth, because if you're with friends and stuff, you got one person pulling for their team, they don't want to watch the other game going on. So yeah.
Well, and shout out Dr. Bob.
He's fans of everybody.
He's fans of everybody, and the Big 12 will be competing head-to-head with the American Conference title game. By the way, is there a more wide-open conference next year than the American Conference?
The Sun Belt. Every year.
The Sun Belt is at night? Is Friday night too? Dang. So the Big 12 gets the 8 p.m. slot. Georgia Tech and the ACC are taking that noon slot. And
so what channel is the ACC championship game going to be on? The CW?
God, I hope not. Well, no, it'll be on ABC.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, it definitely will be on ABC, because it was on ABC at night. Here's my thing. I just like night games, and that's what I'm a fan of. And so the posturing of the leadership of the ACC just leaves me dumbfounded. But when I first saw this, and shout out to Trevor for correcting me here, I did think they were going head-to-head with the Big 12. I didn't like that move. But the fact that the ACC has created their own time slot now, they are that noon game right after College game day there on Championship Saturday. Hats off to them for getting creative and getting the limelight.
Take advantage of the spot opening, though. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, take advantage of it. The Big 12 is Friday at 8 p.m. Let's go. Big 12 at 8 p.m., ACC at noon, SEC at 4, and keep going.
You're not going to convince the Big 10 to move. I mean, obviously, they're going to keep their time slot no matter what.
That's wild. Keep going.
I'm sorry. But you're not going to convince the Big 10 to move, forward. So I agree with the ACC. Move to a different time slot, something that you can kind of, it feels better, because maybe you can feel the stadium more at 12 o'clock than you can at 8 o'clock.
And this past year, you barely felt the stadium. It was terrible.
It was probably the worst 2 teams to play each other in a conference game, because it just was.
It wasn't big. It wasn't big enough.
It was a good game.
I mean, Yeah, but the problem is you had an in-state school that barely even. I mean, they travel, but they didn't really travel. You know what I mean?
Well, because if they won, it didn't mean anything.
Yeah. It meant something to those kids, right?
Sure.
Deep in their heart. No, in all seriousness, I think that's the big part of it, right? Is that you get your own time slot, make the most of it, and you kind of go from there. But let's talk about some of our takeaways, Ralph, as we look at this schedule. We bring it up right here. Let's take a look real quick. I'll remove that for us. And look, Ralph, when you look at the takeaways of this, I'm going to go ahead and point it out to our listeners and viewers. We know a lot of them are going to be Georgia Tech fans. The month of November could be absolutely brutal. It could be very, very difficult. You've got to start off on, you don't get a bye week, by the way. And after, what is it? Georgia Tech's bye week is October the 3rd. So you're going to have 7 straight games, if I'm right. 8 straight games. Duke, Virginia Tech.
One's on a Friday night.
Boston College, Pitt. And then November is Louisville, Clemson, Wake Forest, and Georgia. That is not an easy stretch by any ounce of the imagination. Now, look, we're talking about this in the month of January, 8 months before we kick off games, right? But the big thing is you can kind of see what the rosters might look like because we don't have a spring portal, all those type of things. So for the most part, the bulk of the roster is set and guys can't enter now. So when I look at that, Ralph, for Georgia Tech, I pretty much say that your season's going to, if you want to have a prayer of having a eventful or a meaningful month of November, you have to take care of business in September, survive October, and by God, you've got to come up big in November because Louisville is going to be a well-coached team. They've got a lot of different moving parts. Jeff Brum's kind of established himself as a guy that is going to field a competent team. They may not win the ACC, but they've been once to the title game a couple of years ago. They're going to be competitive. You've got a Wake Forest team that returns a bulk amount of their coaching staff, and Jay Dicker did a really good job. We slept on them. So you look at that, Clemson, it's going to be a physical game, and then obviously you've got Georgia there. So I said those out of order. It's Louisville, Clemson, Wake Forest, and Georgia. That month of November, I guess your thoughts on that, because that could be really sneaky. If Georgia Tech already has 2 or 3 losses, you're probably going to be fighting for bowl eligibility. If you have less than 2 or 3 losses, maybe you've got a chance to make it. Charlotte. That month of November is going to be interesting.
Well, I think it starts on Halloween, Bryce, because think about this. You're playing at Pitt on Halloween, and then you turn around to a shortened week and get Louisville on a Friday at home, I think that's how it's doing it. I think that's right. The home game? Yeah. Yes. So you play Louisville at home, and then you go to Clemson.
Yeah.
That stretch right there, I think it's a part where you need to win at least 1 or 2. If you go 0-3 in that 3-game stretch, you can go and kiss it. Yeah, it's over. Because if you survive October and you get beat, if you lose 2 of those games or 3 of those games, it's obviously it's over for you. But I mean that's a hard 3-game stretch because Pitt's going to be good again. I think they're going to be, they lost some talent obviously, but they kept their quarterback again. They're going to be good. I think obviously you said what about Louisville, Jeff Brom, well coached team, and then Clemson obviously disaster season last year after we thought. Man, they were loaded last year, and obviously some problems going on over there at Clemson with some tampering. You brought to the show about that. Go watch it. But you got to change the offensive coordinator there this year. Change the defense coordinator. No, did Tom Allen?
No, Tom Allen's still there, but new OC though. Yeah, new
offensive coordinator at Clemson, new quarterback. Klubnik's gone. You're going to see some different, adjustments this year for Clemson. I think, I don't want to speak about Clemson yet because I just don't know. We don't know who's going to play quarterback for them. We don't know who's going to be in the backfield. And I'm not going to do the pre-roster view and say, this team can be really good. Because I did it last year. I thought Clemson would be the best team in the ACC, and I was completely wrong from that one.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think Clemson's going to be very good at all next year. That's just going to be my take for the season. I think week 1, and I'm not on payroll anymore. I think week 1 they're going to get blasted coming down here. And
that's one of the hardest places to play.
It is the hardest.
And in week 2 is all never fun.
Never fun.
Never fun. It's like running through what did he say? The tin horn.
Yes. One more thing on Georgia Tech that's really interesting. We talked about the beginning part of the schedule, and I know that it's not a conference slate. But Ralph, you're playing Colorado, Tennessee, you get Mercer, but then you have this game right before your bye, and it's a road trip out west. It's the first time they're going to go out west in conference. They go to California to play Stanford. I kind of like this game in the spot that it is because, one, it's not going to sneak up on you because you have a bye week coming right after it. So it is the travel thing shouldn't hurt you. And on paper, you have your FCS game right before it. So really, if you're going to have to make a trip out west, and there's several other teams in this slate that they don't get that benefit, I think that's a scheduling plus. For me, at least, I think that's going to be a scheduling plus for Georgia Tech is when you do have to go out west, we talk how about weird, wacky it is. I mean, you remember as well as I do 2 years ago, Cam Ward in Miami made that trek out to Cal, and it was very weird, and they kind of almost lost the game to a Fernando Mendoza-led Cal Golden Bear team. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to play that game, kind of my last thing on Georgia Tech there, get it right before the bye week, sandwiched in between sandwiched in between a bye week and your FCS game. That's probably the best spot for it. I got one more for you, or another one. Go look at SMU's schedule. Mm-hmm. Now listen, on this podcast, we are notably we're high. We pony up, right?
Yeah.
SMU is one of the few teams, and I think someone had a comment earlier. I want to make sure that I highlight their comment.
They played 3 straight Friday games.
That's crazy.
Someone
commented, and I hate that I'm missing it. They said that, Georgia Tech plays 8 teams that are replacing their quarterback. There's a lot of quarterback upheaval in this conference this year. SMU doesn't have that. They are going to have, in my opinion, there we go. Trevor says we're so back. A thing to note for the 2026 schedule is Tech plays 8 teams replacing starting quarterbacks. In this scenario, though, Ralph, you have a team that is not replacing their quarterback. They are replacing a coordinator that they, has gone down to Missouri State. But you look at SMU's schedule. When you talk about the things needing to be in place for you to have a successful season, you're playing on Labor Day night, I believe. Yep. On Labor Day night, you're playing Florida State. Okay. Then you're going to play, you have Louisville there in September. You got the Missouri State game. Then you play what are perceived to be the weaker teams in the conference. You've got Boston College. You got Virginia. That will be obviously a very interesting game. But you get them at home. Cal, you get them at home. You play Syracuse on the road.
In that disgusting stadium.
Yeah, that is true. You have Virginia Tech, which could be a very sneaky game, and that's one of my games I'm highlighting this year. Wake Forest, Notre Dame, Stanford. There is a path for SMU to win 8 to 9 games in this schedule and exceed that, because you have one of the things that is not a hot commodity right now, and it's one of those things that is a returning quarterback in this conference. You don't have that, and they've got a guy who's done it for 2 years now. He's already led them to an ACC title game. He's already led them to a playoff appearance. He had a really good season last year. I think with that schedule, you're going to see a lot of preseason hype for a team like SMU that gets to roll in with some continuity, especially losing a coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, look, you lose your coordinator, but you kept the quarterback coach, I'm pretty sure. And if not, I mean, that's the one. I'm blanking on his name, Bryce, and he played quarterback at Houston, I'm pretty sure, or Miami, one of the two. Derek King.
Yeah, you
keep Derek King around, who presumably is going to take the offense coordinator job if they haven't promoted anybody yet. The guy's been calling plays almost basically ever since he got there. Worked well with Kevin Jennings. Obviously, Rhett Lashley's a great offensive-minded coach. It's not going to be a big difference with that. They brought some transfers in to help him out. They're going to bolster that receiving room a little bit. Guys have held on the offensive line. Defense lost some guys 2 years ago and last year, and they're just going to. I think they had to, rely on that defense this year, because that defense was really didn't help as much as it did 2 years ago. We saw it. They had some moments last year where they stood strong against Miami, especially because the offense wasn't really there when it gets like really. We counted Miami out mid through the season when they lost to SMU, but we didn't really know how good that defense really was until we saw it in the playoffs. I feel like,
yeah.
And SMU was moving the ball against a pretty solid defense.
Especially in the second half of that game.
Yeah. Especially the second, and they shut that offense out in the second half also. So, for what they did last year, I know it wasn't like a crazy, insane year for them, but they always have that struggle against TCU. You don't have TCU this year.
Mm.
You don't have BYU like you did 2 years ago. You get Florida State on a Monday night. I cannot for the life of me tell you what that second game is or who that is. But then you get your first road, or I guess you get 2 road games in the first road of the year, unless that Florida State game is a neutral site. I don't think it would be.
I don't think so. No, that game's UC Davis, by the way. It's at Florida State. No, you're playing at Florida State week 1.
So, it's if SMU wants to succeed, it's really that first 3 weeks for them. If you get past, I'll say this: UC Davis is not a team to slouch on. They're a very good FCS.
They're
team.
a really good FCS team. Yeah.
They were into the buzzsaw of Illinois State last year, who went on the road for every playoff game and won. Just by the way, but you get for the first 3 games, 2-1, 3-0, whatever. I don't want to say it because you're right about that Virginia Tech game, but you could be almost in cruise control.
Well, you've set the tone, that's for sure. I mean,
you set a tone for what you believe you could do this year.
Yeah,
but I'm serious. I don't want to say like they're going to be on cruise control. That's not how Rhett Lashley coaches, obviously. But Missouri State, Boston College, personally, those are easy wins. Bye week right before you play Virginia. Obviously great season last year, new quarterback. And then you get your 3 straight Friday games, which is disgusting, by the way.
That's crazy.
But if this team goes, let's say they're 10-1 or 9-1 going into Notre Dame on the road, that's a fun matchup.
Let's detour here because I want both of us to pick 3. Okay. So we're each going to pick 3 matchups, and I'm going to while you look, I'm going to answer Zach's question. 3 matchups that you are looking forward to. I will say you can steal mine if you want, but SMU Virginia Tech that Friday, the first week of November, I think could be a very, very massive game with ACC implications. So you look, Ralph. I'll answer this question. Zach says, "Is UNC just screwed, or are they going to do something without all the media hype going into the season?" Look, they made some changes, right? We'll see. With North Carolina, like you open up with a bang with that game at TCU, you get the bye week. But good God, you get to truthfully, and this is not me trying to be disrespectful. You look at this schedule, you can't breathe until you get to October 24th. You've got TCU bye week, ETSU
in Ireland, by the way.
Yeah, Clemson a bye week, so you have your 2 bye weeks before October. Then you go Notre Dame, Pitt, Duke, then Syracuse. I think you can breathe. You got Miami. UConn does not have Jim Moore anymore. Louisville, Virginia. I don't know what their preseason over/under win total is, and I haven't looked at it yet. But that to me could be concerning. So are they screwed? That schedule does them no favors. I think UNC. You look at the schedule for UNC, and you're searching for 5 wins. Like you're searching for 5 wins.
By the way, Bryce, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. If you look at the North Carolina TCU game, obviously it says Dublin, Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, under the
oh yes,
yeah, in Brazil.
Trevor did. Why in high heavens are NC State playing Virginia and Rio de Janeiro?
Thank you, Trevor.
Stupid. Play your games on campus. Play your games on campus, please.
I'm okay with the 1 game a year, start the season off in Ireland, wherever they do it at.
I'm not, but that's okay. Yeah.
If they do 1 game a year and just throw it over there, and it's like a non-conference cool matchup, like we had Navy Notre Dame that 1 year, I'm okay with that one. But we're doing conference games here. I don't like that. That's where I get kind of annoyed with it. But
it's just bizarre. So I'll list my games out first, Ralph. Okay. SMU, Virginia Tech. That's a game that I'm circling. Gavin, when you go back and watch this, we'll make a graphic out of this so people can see it later. Clemson, Miami. Because Clemson's season could be over by the bye week. Rough. They could be 2-3.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they could lose to Cal if things get ugly. That's my other game I'm looking at. And then another one that I think is going to be sneaky, really fun to watch because he returned, okay? Give me C.J. Bailey in Louisville I'm sorry, C.J. Bailey and NC State against Louisville on October the 3rd.
Did Miller Moss return?
No, he's in the draft.
Okay, so who's their quarterback, presumably? Do we know yet?
They got a transfer. I have to go back. We'll be doing the previews here about a month or so. But yeah, that's an interesting game to me because that's like two teams. You're like, hey, they could have a pretty good season. They got a little promise. We'll see. That's it for me. Those are my 3 games. And I'm like, hey, I'm excited to watch this. Just my opinion, not the 3 best games, but just 3 games. I'll be like, I'm definitely tuning into those. So you got 3, or do we overlap, or what you got?
I got one that I really kind of, and it's only because of what we thought was going to happen didn't happen, and maybe what's going on right now. Duke and Miami. Because if it ends up happening, that's where he's going to be.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, then you have the problem between the two schools that they were trying to poach them.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like the SMU Louisville game. I like it a lot because that's your first. Well, I guess that's not first one, but it's kind of that one game you can't. If you beat Florida State and you beat UC Davis, you're feeling great about yourself, and then you go on the road Louisville, you cannot sleep that game.
Yeah.
You gotta be on that one. And I was trying to do a non-conference game.
No, sticking conference.
I know I was kind of bouncing around and looking, but I'm going to go Virginia Tech and Miami because that's a
late season game too.
Friday night game in Miami. The last time Miami hosted a Friday night game, kind of in the middle of the season, it's Louisville.
Crazy.
And it's right there at the end of the season, right for you. And Virginia Tech is a team I'm not sleeping on this year. I'm a James Franklin guy. I like him a lot. I think he's done a terrific job in the portal. He's done an incredible job recruiting this year. Virginia Tech might be that place again. Lang Stadium might be rocking this year.
They're going to have a pretty nice floor. Minus rivalries, Zach asked, who has the best out-of-conference game you're excited to watch? I mean, Georgia Tech and Tennessee is going to be fun. Clemson LSU is going to be a fun one.
Florida State, because John Summerall is going to end Norvell's career.
Well, Zach says minus rivalries, even though that hasn't been much of one. That's a good question, Zach. Louisville, Ole Miss.
I got one. Virginia Tech, Old Dominion. Every year, that's always a fun one to watch.
That is true.
It's an in-state rivalry, which is not really a rivalry, but it is.
Wait one second.
Old Dominion's gotten them a few times. I think twice. Once or twice. I know they got them once.
Wait a second here. Wait just a second, Mr. Ralph. Virginia is going to be coming back from Rio, Brazil.
Uh-huh.
And facing a Michael Vick-led Norfolk State team. There we go. Give me the upset. After the bye week, week 3.
And then, And then they go to Charlotte and play West Virginia.
What is happening to Virginia? Zach, I mean, obviously you've got. I'm sorry. Apologies. I know they're supposed to be a conference game. Miami Notre Dame, November 7th is going to be awesome. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one.
Miami, Central Michigan, go to. It's my guys over there.
There you go.
Burt's been gone for a while.
Michael says, "Wish there was a UNC App State game."
I don't. God,
those games were crazy.
It's the worst offensive game in history.
Well, what is defense? Nico says, "Do you think Georgia Tech has any chance to beat Tennessee?" Yeah, because they're taking the field. I mean, they have a chance. Tennessee is.
I got you.
It's a scheme thing for me. That's what it comes down to.
There you go. There's my answer.
He said, "Yeah." The Tennessee fan says that Tech's about to catch belt. The powerhouse resides in Knoxville. We'll see. I guess, Ralph, any final thoughts on this? I mean, I would say, who's your big loser? The big loser of this schedule for me is North Carolina.
100%.
It's North. Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it a little bit, but that schedule for North Carolina, your season could be over by middle of October, early October.
North Carolina and Virginia for the fact they're playing a game in Brazil and a game in Charlotte this year.
Shout out Virginia fans.
I want to see ACC title. I truly want to know how many Virginia and North Carolina State fans show up for that game.
CJ Haley in South America. Give me the points.
What's the altitude there?
I have no idea.
It's like playing Mile High Stadium.
I mean, I think that's all I got with the loser. I mean, Ralph, when you look at this, who else is really a loser? I mean, Florida State. They play New Mexico State in week 0. They host SMU on a Monday night. Open week, Bama. At Bama.
That's Central Arkansas, I'm pretty sure.
Central Arkansas. Do you know who the quarterback for Central Arkansas is?
Former Auburn quarterback, former Baylor quarterback, Walker White. If he wins the job. If not, he's just a bust.
Virginia on October the 3rd. Louisville, Miami.
Louisville on a Friday night at Louisville, and then Miami at home, or at Miami. Then bye week, then Clemson, Boston College at Pitt, NC State, and then Florida on a Friday. Yeah,
Florida State, North Carolina, massive losers in this schedule. Like, it's brutal. You better figure some things out really, really quick. That's all I got to say on that.
The seat's getting a lot warmer in Tallahassee this
year.
It's warm, but it's about to get a lot warmer.
He says, bye-bye, Norvell. Zach says the one time Georgia Tech catches Clemson late in the season, it's the most loaded month ever. Yeah, it's tough, and you don't know what you're going to be like at that point in the season. The good news is that you will have a better idea of your quarterback room, for better or worse, if you're Georgia Tech and if you're Clemson at that time. Ralph, in the coming weeks, it's going to be list season. We'll be doing top-ranked quarterbacks in every conference, the top teams in every conference, tier lists, things like that. But before we get out of here, I told you to prepare your pick of Tuesday. So,
hold on, it just went away from me.
Ralph nearly botched this one last night.
No, I did not. That's a lie.
But I'll start with Ralph before we get out of here tonight. As you know, 2026 is the year of FanDuel right here on the Crowded Booth. They've been presenting sponsor all year long, and we appreciate that partnership with them. Whatever you do, make sure you do that responsibly and that you take care of yourself. Be smart about it, but have fun as well. And Ralph, Tuesday night, what is your pick for our friends over at FanDuel? What you got for us?
I'm sorry, I had to go right back to it. I am taking Alabama minus 10.5 with their NBA player against Missouri.
On the road? They're playing on the road?
No, at home.
Oh, at home? Bediako at home?
Yeah, Bediako at home in the airplane hangar.
You can vote for Bediako, by the way, for the G League All-Star game.
You can also vote for him to stop it, for the NCAA to stop extending the negotiation, because we need to get.
Zach says picking is Georgia Tech free money. Who's Georgia Tech playing this week?
I just right here at Virginia Tech minus 9.5.
Jackets are minus 9.5. I have no idea.
No,
I don't.
Tech is minus 9.5 at home.
All right, give me that. Give me the Hokies minus 9.5. Ralph is taking Bama minus 10.5 at home against the Missouri.
If you want a fun one, Kentucky plus 6.5 at Vandy.
Ooh, you're a little spicy with it. A little spicy. Mark Pope needs to get a big win.
A little parlay.
Parlay. We appreciate you. I got to tell them about my parlay I had last night.
Do you?
Yeah, because our friends over at FanDuel, Ralph, they make everything possible. So let's talk about it.
We love our friends at FanDuel. Will you please open up in Georgia, please?
All right, here we go. This is what I hit last night, by the way. You got to love the login feature on FanDuel. That I don't have my login. Anyways, I had an anytime touchdown. Kenneth Walker, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams.
Anytime touchdown.
Anytime touchdown.
Yes, it hit.
Ralph Leary. My name is Bryce Kuhn. ACC Instant Reaction. Fun schedule. Never too early to think about these things. We'll obviously be doing some tier lists, some quarterback rankings, some head coach rankings in the next couple of weeks and months to come. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to have some interviews from the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama this week. Hang out with us, talk with us in the Discord. We appreciate you watching here on another episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Coon.